Shalom. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Ha-Rakah Kodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles, a great millstone, for teaching us this truth. Also want to acknowledge all the Akim who are pushing this truth in the streets of Babylon. Alright, so with that, the Spirit has me tonight in Proverbs 6:1. It says, "My son, if thou be surety for thy friend, if thou hast stricken thy hand with a stranger." Let me go to a precept real quick. And surety is the definition of that is being like responsible to paying the debt because of someone else's behavior. So that's what surety means. 17:18. It's not a good position to be in when you have to pay for someone else's behavior, But it says 17 and 18 Proverbs. It says, a man void of understanding striketh hands and becomes surety in the presence of his friend. You see, when you lack the understanding, and really this is dealing with the understanding of the scriptures of the Bible. So, it says becometh surety in the presence of his friend. You see, so you don't have understanding, and you're going to become a surety. You're going to be responsible for someone else's behavior, and that's not a position you want to be. You don't want to be, doing work, but yet you have a third party involved, and you're responsible for this person's behavior as a surety. Well, that could cause you to go off. So it's a bad position to be in. Let me go back to Proverbs 6:1. My son, if thou be surety for thy friend, if thou hast stricken thy hand with a stranger. So you see, it's not a good spot to be in. So don't take responsibility, for others. Be it putting yourself in that position. Verse 2, thou art snared with the words of thy mouth. Thou art taken with the words of thy mouth. You see? You're trapped with the words of your mouth. Like we had a guy come up that tried to teach us at camp last week. He had a prideful, arrogant spirit about him. He was an Israelite. But he walked up to the prophets who were all holding Bibles in their hands, and instead of, giving his humbleness, he came and gave his vain opinion instead, and he wanted to teach the prophets, instead of doing the wise thing and using the 2 ears that God gave him and listen. He wanted to use his mouth instead, And he didn't, and then he snared himself with his own words, saying, hey, he didn't realize that he walked up on the church because we showed him this verse here. Well, we tried to, because he didn't listen to anything. He just wanted to give his own vain opinion. This is Ecclesiastes 5:1. Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of Yahweh, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. You see, so he didn't even consider what he did was evil, but indeed it was. When you come up to the camp, you have a question. We're going to answer your questions according to the scriptures, but don't come up and try to, like this says here, that he gave a sacrifice of a fool, and he didn't even think he did anything bad because he lacks wisdom, And let's keep reading. Verse 2, be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before Yahweh, for Yahweh is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore let thy words be few. All right, so two things I want to point out. The house of God was, is really the men of Israel out there teaching, That's the real church. And he said, I didn't know this was the church. That's the comment he made. But he was being rash with his mouth, And his heart really means mind. So his mind was hasty. He wanted to utter anything he could, what he's been taught by modern Christianity. He wanted to come in the spirit of Jesus Christ instead of just shutting up and listening to what we had to offer him, But that's Jake for you, Jake, when they go out there, they so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, they want to teach you, even though you have, 4 grown men holding Bibles in their hand, who obviously, we take the truth serious, you see. So let me, and because the guy, he said, I didn't realize, because we said, hey man, you're interrupting the church, we brought that verse out, hey, be quiet, be more ready to hear than, come out and utterly speak over the teachers, That's what he was doing. Revelation 21:3, and this is the simple part of the truth that, everybody in the truth should know this, but let me bring it out. Revelation 21:3, and I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of Yahweh is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Yahweh himself shall be with them and be their power. See? So the tabernacle of Yahweh is with men, which means the church of God is the men. So he didn't realize that when we told him, hey, slow your roll, listen, instead of, like I said, he was being prideful and arrogant and, trying to teach us things that he don't even understand. So let me go back to Proverbs 6 and I was still on 2. I read it, but I'll read it again. Thou art snared with the words of thy mouth. Thou art taken with the words of thy mouth. And that's what happened to him. He trapped himself by, he first he wanted to teach, but then he was revealing that he didn't understand things. And it's like, well, come in a humble spirit. And also don't come in the spirit of Jesus Christ, especially with GMS, we're going to correct you. And then that's where it always goes south, because they don't have the time or the patience or the understanding to just shut up and listen. Instead of they want to give their vain opinions, and they want to teach you lies that they've been taught through the modern Christianity. It says, do this, verse 3, do this now, my son, and deliver thyself. When thou art come into the hand of thy friend, go, humble thyself, and make sure thy friend. You see, so literally, he could have had a chance to deliver himself, but instead he chose to give himself up to vain opinions and, speaking utterly nonsense, instead of just using his 2 ears, Being able to listen is a real skill, man. It's much, much more wise if you listen than if you speak, Those are basic things that some of these, wiser parents had taught their children. It's better to listen than before you speak, or think about what you're going to say before you say it, Let me see. Where am I at? But like I said, in verse 3, that man had a chance to deliver himself. Instead, he condemned himself, Because what if he would have listened? Then he would have got the breakdowns of what we were trying to, teach. And then he, if the Spirit jumped on him, he would have been diligent and done his own research, But no, our people are too in the know, That's the attitude they have. And they're all, drunk off the wine that Esau has given them. He's handed them that bottle, and they're still drunk off that bottle, our people. Verse 4, give not sleep to thine eyes, nor slumber to thine eyelids. You see? So this is, when you read this, yeah, you can look at it as a, literal, but it's actually deeper in a parable, because we already know what sleep is, like we always tell people that don't understand this truth are asleep. The prophets are awake because they're the watchmen, right? They have the understanding, they're the servants. So we're awake to this truth. What makes us awake is the understanding and the fact that, Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem, Rakakadash is dealing with us, meaning giving us this understanding, able to see and understand, hear and understand, see and perceive, because people will see it and not perceive it, and people will hear it and not understand it. That's what, matter of fact, let me just go to it. Mark 4:11. And he said unto them, unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of Yahweh, but unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables. You see, so that man that came on the camp, he was one of those ones who are without. Because without what? Without the understanding. He didn't know the mysteries of the kingdom of Yahweh. But yet, in his pride, arrogant spirit, he walked up and he was, like I said, speaking on things he didn't understand. Verse 12, that seeing they may see and not perceive, and hearing they may hear and not understand, lest at any time they should be converted and their sins should be forgiven them. You see, so he had a chance to be converted, or his sins could have been forgiven, but he didn't even give himself that opportunity. He's seen, but he didn't perceive it. He heard it, but he didn't understand it. The brother didn't even give himself a chance to understand it, because he just wanted to speak over us and basically, all he did was made a fool of himself, and he cursed himself, because Yahweh takes this stuff serious. We're out there pushing his word as it is written in the scripture, and we're literally the mouth of Yahweh. So, you curse yourself when you come to camp and you just act a fool, Yahweh's going to carry judgment. And really, Yahweh's the one who brought you there to be judged, to be honest, because Yahweh, he puts the spirit on people to do everything they do. Psalms 132. And 10, I'm going to start at. But the verse, actually I was reading, says, give not sleep to thine eyes, nor slumber to thine eyelids. That was in Proverbs 6:4. So, the sleep, because like I say, if you look at this chapter literally, and it's, you're going to say, oh yeah, you don't work hard, you're going to go broke. But really, it's talking about the truth, the true work, and sleeping, meaning sleep to this truth, No, your eyes need to be opened to this truth, You can't, most of our people are sleeping though, That's just prophecy being fulfilled. Let me start at Psalm 132:10. For thy servant David's sake, turn not away the face of thine anointed. You see, so basically, this is a prayer for the elect, who are the anointed. And they're saying, David is saying, please don't turn your face away from the elect, the anointed. 11. Yahweh hath sworn in truth unto David, he will not turn from it. Of the fruit of thy body will I set upon thy throne. See? So David's descendants, are going to be that's the fruit of thy body. And the body is the men who are preaching and teaching, prophesying the streets of Babylon, Excuse me. Verse 12. If thy children will keep my covenant, really should say sons right there. Let me read that. If thy sons will keep my covenant and my testimony that I shall teach them, their sons shall also sit upon thy throne forevermore. For Yahweh hath chosen Zion, he hath desired it for his habitation. This is my rest forever. Here will I dwell, for I have desired it. See, so really, Yahweh, Zion is another word for Israel, So that's who Yahweh has chosen. That's who he's given this understanding to. Zion, Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Verse 14. This is my rest forever. Here will I dwell, for I have desired it. And really just desiring the understanding, the wisdom. I will abundantly bless her provision. I will satisfy her poor with bread. You see, and remember that verse, poor with bread, because it's not talking about, being broken and actual like bread, a loaf of bread. No, it's talking about he's going to bless Zion, which is Israel, and he's going to satisfy Israel, who were the poor, in this case the elect, with the bread, meaning, like your daily bread. And he's the reason why the prophets are abundantly blessed is because, not only are we, referred to as the poor here, and as far as for Zion and the anointed, like this, in verse 10 started out, which are the elect. There's only 144,000 prophets who are anointed to be the elect. All right? The 1/3 is a big number of Israel that's going to hearken, but they're not the anointed, they're not the elect. Verse 16. I will also clothe her priests with salvation, and her saints shall shout aloud for joy. You see, so that dude that came up to the camp, he had a chance to be a priest clothed with salvation, but he rather choose to holler over the brothers, holler over the prophets, holler over the mouth of God, and push the